20 Hollywood stars who were the biggest jerks in real life. The glittering lights of Hollywood have always hidden dark shadows. While millions of fans worship these icons from afar, the people who actually worked with them tell a very different story. Tales of tantrums, abuse, and behavior so shocking, it would make their carefully crafted public images crumble instantly. The bigger the star, the bigger the ego, isn't just a saying in Hollywood, it's practically an industry guarantee. But some celebrities have taken bad behavior to such extraordinary levels that they've earned legendary status, not just for their performances on screen, but for being absolutely unbearable human beings off it. We're not talking about minor diva moments or occasional bad days. These are the stars who made crew members quit, reduced co-stars to tears, and created such toxic environments that entire productions were jeopardized by their behavior. From the A-list actor who physically assaulted crew members to the beloved comedian who was so cruel that cast members refused to make eye contact with him, these stories reveal the shocking truth behind some of Hollywood's most celebrated faces. What makes these tales particularly revealing isn't just the bad behavior itself, but how the industry repeatedly enabled and excused it, proving that talent and box office numbers will always trump basic human decency in the entertainment business. So let's pull back the curtain on 20 beloved stars whose real personalities would shock their biggest fans, starting with a comedian whose off-camera behavior was so notoriously awful that he earned both the first and last spot on our countdown.
Exactly, you see that now? This time of night.
I do have a special tomorrow night. That would be May 5th. What's the Frost Nixon thing, something or what? Gosh.
1. Chevy Chase, comedy's cruelest legend. Long before he was making audiences laugh on Saturday Night Live, or as the bumbling patriarch in National Lampoon's Vacation, Chevy Chase was making his colleagues cry with his vicious insults and relentless bullying. Called the rudest man in comedy by virtually everyone who's worked with him, Chase's reputation for cruelty spans 5 decades. His behavior on the set of SNL became the stuff of television legend, with cast members describing how he would deliberately sabotage their performances, make racist comments to co-stars, and physically fight with fellow comedians. "I'm Chevy Chase, and you're not," wasn't just his famous catchphrase. It was his entire personality distilled into 5 words. The implicit message, he mattered, and you didn't. When Chase returned to host SNL in the late 80s and early 90s, his behavior was so abhorrent that cast members actively avoided him. He reportedly suggested to openly gay cast member Terry Sweeney that they do a sketch where they weighed him every week to see if he had AIDS, a joke that horrified everyone present. During the production of the sitcom Community, his racist comments and general hostility created such a toxic environment that producers were forced to remove him from the show. Co-star Donald Glover revealed that Chase would make racially charged comments during scenes, apparently threatened by Glover's talent and popularity. "Everyone admired his talent. No one could stand him," said a longtime SNL staff member. "There's a reason he burned every bridge in the industry despite being one of the biggest comedy stars of his generation. Eventually, talent can't outweigh toxicity."
Yeah, I'm having a great time. It's a new experience, but it's a lot of fun and a lot of hard work.
2. Katherine Heigl, Hollywood's ungrateful star. In 2007, Katherine Heigl was at the peak of her career, starring in the hit medical drama Grey's Anatomy and breaking into film with the comedy Knocked Up. Within a few years, she had become one of the most reviled figures in Hollywood, not for any scandal or criminal behavior, but simply for being, as industry insiders put it, ungrateful, difficult, and toxic. Her fall from grace began when she publicly trashed Knocked Up, the film that elevated her to movie star status, calling it a little sexist and saying it painted the women as shrews. Director Judd Apatow and co-star Seth Rogen were blindsided by her criticism of the very project that had significantly boosted her career. The situation worsened when she withdrew her name from Emmy consideration for Grey's Anatomy, claiming she wasn't given the material this season to warrant a nomination. This very public slight was interpreted as a direct insult to the show's writers and producers who had made her a star. On film sets, her reputation grew increasingly problematic. Directors and crew members reported that she would question the script, demand rewrites, complain about her wardrobe, and make the shooting experience miserable for everyone involved. One film reportedly added $3 million to its budget just to accommodate her demands and delays. Her behavior became so notorious that Hollywood essentially blacklisted her. Projects dried up, and her mother manager was reportedly part of the problem, making outlandish demands that further alienated potential employers. She burned every bridge, then blamed the fire on everyone else, noted one producer who worked with her. The industry can forgive almost anything except publicly criticizing the people who make you successful. Catherine never seemed to understand that basic rule.
She have an arc in the movie.
Yes.
What's the arc?
He goes from psychopath to psychotic.
Yes. I think that's right. He totally...
3. Christian Bale, The Dark Knight's darker temper. Christian Bale's intense method acting has earned him critical acclaim and an Oscar, but his infamous on-set meltdown during the filming of Terminator Salvation revealed a darkness that shocked even Hollywood veterans. In 2009, audio leaked of Bale launching into a profanity-laced tirade against cinematographer Shane Hurlbut, who had accidentally walked into his line of sight during a take. For nearly 4 minutes, Bale screamed obscenities, threatened the crew member's job, and created such a hostile environment that director McGee had to intervene. "I'm going to kick your fingay," Bale shouted in the recording that quickly went viral. "You're a nice guy, but that doesn't fucking cut it." The rant included approximately 40 expletives in less than 4 minutes, all directed at a respected cinematographer who had simply made a minor mistake. The intensity and duration of Bale's outburst suggested this wasn't an isolated incident, but rather a glimpse into his typical on-set behavior. Bale's colleagues have described him as intense and fully committed, industry code for extremely difficult. His method acting approach means he often stays in character between takes, creating an environment where crew members feel they're walking on eggshells around him. While Bale eventually apologized publicly, insiders revealed that his temper had been an open secret in Hollywood for years. On the set of American Psycho, crew members reportedly avoided eye contact with him. During The Machinist, his extreme weight loss created mood swings that made him nearly impossible to work with. "Batman lost his cool and his reputation," commented one crew member who witnessed the infamous rant. "The problem isn't that he gets angry, it's that he feels entitled to verbally abuse people who are just trying to do their jobs."
Yes. Yeah, that was, and I, you know, there's that line in Fight Club, the things you own end up owning you.
4. Edward Norton. Brilliant, but impossible. Edward. Norton's reputation for being difficult precedes him on virtually every project. The actor, known for his intense performances and 3 Oscar nominations, has earned the less flattering distinction of being one of Hollywood's most controlling and combative talents. Norton's problematic behavior typically centers around his belief that he knows better than the writers, directors, and even the studios funding his films. On multiple productions, he has rewritten scripts without permission, demanded editing control, and challenged directors' visions so aggressively that some have vowed never to work with him again. During the production of American History X, Norton clashed so severely with director Tony Kaye that Kaye attempted to have his own name removed from the film. Norton reportedly took control of the editing process, creating his own cut of the movie against the director's wishes. While many critics praised the final film, the behind-the-scenes power struggle created lasting industry damage. His conflicts continued on The Incredible Hulk, where Norton extensively rewrote the script and then fought with Marvel over the final cut. The studio ultimately replaced him in subsequent Marvel films, with Kevin Feige diplomatically stating they sought an actor who embodies the creativity and collaborative spirit of our other talented cast members. Directors have described Norton as passionate and detail-oriented, euphemisms for his tendency to challenge every decision and attempt to control aspects of filmmaking well outside an actor's traditional purview. "They call him brilliant and impossible," said a producer who worked with Norton. "Yes, he's one of the most talented actors of his generation, but at what cost? He creates such a contentious environment that the entire production suffers, regardless of how good his performance might be."
Stupid, I know, but when I was 10 years old, I was playing in a football game, rugby league actually, and I tackled this big fat kid right around the ankles, smack, went down like a sack of shit.
5. Russell Crowe, Gladiator with a temper. Russell Crowe's talent is undeniable, but his explosive temper has repeatedly overshadowed his acclaimed performances. The Oscar winner has built a reputation not just for intensity on screen, but for volatile, sometimes violent behavior off it. The most infamous incident occurred in 2005 when Crow, frustrated by his inability to place an international call from his New York hotel room, threw a telephone at the hotel concierge, striking the employee in the face. The assault resulted in Crow's arrest and required him to pay a substantial financial settlement. This wasn't an isolated incident. Throughout his career, Crow has been involved in numerous physical alterations, including bar fights, confrontations with photographers, and heated arguments with producers and directors. On film sets, his temperamental behavior has become legendary. During the filming of Gladiator, he reportedly threatened producer Branko Lustig, saying, "I will kill you with my bare hands," after disagreeing about payment for his assistance. Lustig, a Holocaust survivor, was so shaken by the incident that he considered quitting the production. Crow's outbursts have extended to interviews where he has stormed out after taking offense to questions. At the 2002 BAFTA Awards, he physically shoved and verbally abused a producer after parts of his acceptance speech were cut from the broadcast. While some colleagues defend him as passionate and perfectionistic, others describe a man with little impulse control who believes his talent entitles him to abusive behavior. "A gladiator on set and off it," noted a crew member who worked with him on multiple films. "The problem is that he doesn't seem to understand the difference between playing a warrior and actually being one in real life."
The idea behind this new Jeff product is that it allows you to do all this, you can do all the damage to your hair, to do all the things that you love to do. People love curling their hair or straightening their hair, so it allows you to do all of your favorite things.
6. Lea Michele, Broadway's backstage bully. For years, Lea Michele's reputation as a difficult diva circulated in theater circles, but it was only after her Glee co-star Samantha Ware publicly accused her of making the set a living hell that the full extent of Michele's alleged behavior came to light. Ware's accusation that Michele had subjected her to traumatic microaggressions and told other cast members she would defecate in my wig opened the floodgates. Suddenly, colleagues from throughout Michele's career came forward with similar stories. Multiple Glee cast members corroborated accounts of Michele's bullying, with Heather Morris stating that Michele was very unpleasant to work with. Others described how she would ignore certain cast members entirely, speaking about them in the third person even when they were present. The pattern extended beyond Glee. Broadway actors who had worked with Michele shared stories of her diva behavior and cruelty toward ensemble members. One understudy revealed that Michele had threatened to have her fired for simply making eye contact. Perhaps most damning were accusations of racist behavior, with several black cast members stating that Michele singled them out for particularly harsh treatment. Ware, who was in her first television role when she encountered Michele, described feeling unsafe on set, while Michele eventually issued an apology claiming she didn't remember the specific incidents and had blind spots about how her behavior affected others. The damage to her reputation was substantial. Projects distanced themselves from her, and a meal kit partnership was terminated. "Behind the Broadway smile, a backstage tyrant," said one theater colleague. "What makes it worse is that she seems genuinely confused about why people find her behavior problematic. It's as though she believes being talented justifies treating others as beneath her."
Adrian Lyne offered me Unfaithful.
And you turned it down?
Yes.
Why?
Because the script wasn't good.
7. Jennifer Lopez, the block she left behind. Jennifer Lopez's public persona has been carefully crafted around her Jenny from the Block roots, the humble girl from the Bronx who never forgot where she came from. Behind the scenes, however, Lopez has developed a reputation for diva demands and entitled behavior that suggests she left the block far behind. Former employees and collaborators describe working for Lopez as an exercise in meeting impossible standards. She reportedly requires all white dressing rooms, white furniture, white flowers, white curtains, refuses to speak directly to service staff, and makes demands that even by Hollywood standards seem extreme. One former assistant claimed Lopez would fire employees for looking her in the eye. A hotel insider revealed that during stays, staff were instructed not to approach or acknowledge her unless she spoke to them first, creating an atmosphere where workers felt dehumanized. Her requirements for public appearances have become industry legend. For a charity appearance that lasted only a few minutes, her contract allegedly specified a private jet, multiple hotel rooms, though she would use only one, and a personal chef. For a music video shoot, she supposedly demanded that all extras auditioning be of a certain ethnic background, resulting in people being turned away based on their race. Staff call her impossible to please and insanely entitled, said a former tour employee. The contrast between her regular girl public image and the way she actually treats people is stark. Jenny from the block forgot the block. While some defend her exacting standards as necessary for maintaining a global brand, others point out that equally, or more, famous stars manage to maintain professional excellence without demeaning those around them.
Today we're here with Canada's sweetheart, Mike Myers, everybody. This is also the 30th anniversary of Wayne's World with your dear friend, mine, David Carvey.
8. Mike Myers, comedy's hidden tyrant. Mike Myers created some of comedy's most beloved characters, from Wayne Campbell to Austin Powers, but those who worked with him describe experiences that were anything but funny. Described by industry insiders as controlling, cold, and egotistical, Myers has earned a reputation for making productions miserable with his perfectionism and demands. The entire crew of The Cat in the Hat reportedly grew to hate working with him due to his diva behavior and treatment of supporting staff. Myers' difficult reputation solidified during Wayne's World, where director Penelope Spheris revealed he was controlling and temperamental. Myers blocked Spheris from directing the sequel despite the film's success, apparently holding a grudge over her refusal to accommodate all his demands. The production of The Love Guru became notorious for Myers' tyrannical behavior. He would allegedly throw tantrums when things didn't go exactly as he wanted, berate crew members for minor issues, and create an atmosphere of fear rather than creativity. Most infamously, Myers abruptly quit Saturday Night Live when he couldn't get his Wayne's World sketch on the air one week, despite being contractually obligated to remain with the show. This early display of ego foreshadowed the difficult behavior that would define his later career. Myers is also known for last-minute script changes that throw productions into chaos and cost studios millions in delays and reshoots. On The Cat in the Hat, he reportedly demanded extensive rewrites and set changes based on his whims, regardless of the scheduled shooting plan. He made comedy miserable, said a crew member from one of his films. The irony is that someone who created such joyful characters on screen was so joyless to work with in person. He treated people as though they existed solely to execute his vision, with no value of their own.
It goes, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord, saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?"
9. Shia LaBeouf, troubled talent. Shia LaBeouf's journey from Disney child star to serious actor has been marked by increasingly erratic and allegedly abusive behavior, both on and off set. His reputation has evolved from difficult artist to someone facing serious allegations of misconduct and abuse. LaBeouf's troubling behavior includes multiple arrests for disorderly conduct, public intoxication, and harassment. During one incident, he was videoed shouting racist insults at police officers. In another, he disrupted a Broadway performance of Cabaret, resulting in his arrest for criminal trespass and disorderly conduct. On film sets, his commitment to method acting has crossed into concerning territory. During the filming of Fury, he refused to bathe for weeks, pulled out his own tooth, and repeatedly cut his own face to create authentic-looking war wounds. Choices that made his co-stars uncomfortable and complicated production. For Honey Boy, a film based on his own childhood, LaBeouf's behavior was reportedly so volatile that safety protocols were implemented. The film's director later described working with him as both a privilege and a challenge. The most serious allegations came from his former girlfriend, FKA Twigs, who filed a lawsuit accusing him of sexual battery, assault, and infliction of emotional distress. She described a relationship where LaBeouf allegedly isolated her, inflicted physical injuries, and knowingly gave her a sexually transmitted disease. After these allegations emerged, LaBeouf was effectively removed from Hollywood's A-list. He was replaced in Olivia Wilde's film Don't Worry, Darling, and talent agencies distanced themselves from him. Artistic? Maybe. Aggressive? Absolutely, commented a former colleague. There's a point where troubled artist stops being an excuse and starts being a warning. Shia seems to have crossed that line years ago, but the industry kept giving him chances until the allegations became too serious to ignore.
Now you come to me and you say, Don Corleone, give me justice. But you don't ask with respect. You don't offer friendship. You don't even think to call me Godfather.
10. Marlon Brando, genius and nightmare. Marlon Brando revolutionized screen acting and delivered some of cinema's most memorable performances, but his on-set behavior was so notoriously difficult that it nearly outweighed his extraordinary talent. Brando's problematic conduct included refusing to memorize lines, forcing productions to place cue cards around the set, sometimes even on other actors. During The Godfather, crew members had to hold cue cards just out of frame, and for Superman, his lines were reportedly taped to baby Kal-El's diapers. His weight fluctuations created enormous problems for productions. On Apocalypse Now, he arrived so overweight that director Francis Ford Coppola had to completely reconceive how to shoot his character, filming him primarily in shadow to disguise his appearance. Brando's treatment of fellow actors was often demeaning. During the filming of Last Tango in Paris, he and director Bernardo Bertolucci conspired to spring an unexpected and traumatic scene on actress Maria Schneider without her prior consent, leaving her feeling a little assaulted. On The Missouri Breaks, he told his co-star Jack Nicholson, "I bet you wish I'd been killed in a car crash so you could have my part." His unprofessional behavior extended to making outrageous demands. For Apocalypse Now, he received $3.5 million for 3 weeks of work, but arrived unprepared, overweight, and with his own bizarre ideas for the character that contradicted the script. His difficulties delayed the already troubled production and drove up costs significantly. "A genius actor, a nightmare human," said a director who worked with him. The tragedy of Brando is that his talent was matched only by his contempt for the very craft he transformed. He could have given so much more if he hadn't been so determined to prove that the rules didn't apply to him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just back from a run and on my way out and kind of busy right now.
11. Terry Hatcher, Desperate Housewife, Desperate Colleagues. During the height of Desperate Housewives' popularity, the show's stars graced magazine covers projecting an image of female solidarity and friendship. Behind the scenes, however, one cast member was reportedly so difficult that her co-stars refused to speak with her and even threatened to quit rather than work directly with her. Terry Hatcher. The on-set tension became public knowledge when Nicolette Sheridan referred to Hatcher as the meanest woman in the world during a lawsuit deposition. This wasn't just co-star rivalry, but a sentiment apparently shared by much of the cast. When the series ended and the female leads gave thank you gifts to the crew, Hatcher's name was conspicuously absent from the card. A notorious cast photo for Vanity Fair erupted into drama when Hatcher secured a center position during the shoot, allegedly infuriating her co-stars who had arranged to position her on the end. Eva Longoria and Felicity Huffman reportedly refused to speak to Hatcher outside of film scenes. The situation became so toxic that producers had to schedule scenes to minimize interaction between Hatcher and certain cast members. Crew members described Hatcher as consistently late, demanding special treatment, and complaining about her lines and character development. She allegedly insisted on approving all her publicity photos, an unusual demand that created additional work for the marketing team. "No one cried when she left the set," revealed a crew member after the series ended. "Television sets are like families, sometimes dysfunctional ones, but there's usually some emotion when a long-running show wraps. With Terry, people were just relieved the tension would finally end."
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
12. Bruce Willis. Action hero with a stone-cold attitude. Bruce Willis's on-screen charm and everyman appeal made him one of Hollywood's most bankable stars for decades. Off-camera, however, his reputation for being uncooperative, dismissive, and downright rude has become nearly as legendary as his Die Hard franchise. Director Kevin Smith, who worked with Willis on Cop Out, described the experience as soul-crushing and called Willis the unhappiest, most bitter, and meanest person he'd ever worked with. Smith detailed how Willis would refuse to sit for promotional photographs, ignore the director on set, and create an atmosphere that demoralized the entire crew. Willis's difficulty extended to interviews, where he gained notoriety for being openly contemptuous of journalists. During a 2013 interview for Red 2, co-star Mary Louise Parker appeared visibly uncomfortable as Willis gave monosyllabic answers and told the interviewer, "Has any actor ever told you this is not enjoyable?" On film sets, Willis reportedly would often limit himself to working only 4 hours a day, refuse to come out of his trailer, and decline to participate in certain scenes that he deemed unnecessary. This behavior forced directors to use stand-ins and shoot around his limited availability. Sylvester Stallone, after working with Willis on the Expendables franchise, publicly called him greedy and lazy when Willis demanded $1 million per day for 4 days of work on the sequel. Stallone quickly replaced him with Harrison Ford and announced the change on Twitter. The action was scripted. The attitude was real, said a crew member who worked on several of Willis's films. The frustrating thing was that when he wanted to be charming, no one was better. But most days, he made it clear that he considered the whole process beneath him.
I'm also just a girl, standing in front of a boy, asking him to love her.
13. Julia Roberts, America's sweetheart with a sour side. Julia Roberts' radiant smile and infectious laugh have made her one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses for decades, but her on-set behavior has reportedly been far less endearing. Behind her America's sweetheart image lies a reputation for being demanding, dismissive, and difficult. During the filming of Steven Spielberg's Hook, Roberts earned the nickname Tinkerhell from crew members who found her behavior insufferable. She reportedly arrived late, delayed production with her demands, and created such a tense atmosphere that Spielberg later vowed never to work with her again. On I Love Trouble, her co-star Nick Nolte found her so unpleasant that they eventually filmed most of their scenes separately. Their mutual dislike was so intense that they would send messages through assistants rather than speak directly to each other. Roberts has been known to demand script approval and director approval even after signing onto projects, creating chaos in pre-production. On multiple films, she has reportedly insisted on rewrites to enhance her character at the expense of others. Her treatment of support staff has raised eyebrows as well. Former assistants have described working for Roberts as walking on eggshells, and noted that she would often blame others for her own mistakes or scheduling conflicts. America's sweetheart, just don't work with her, commented a producer who collaborated with Roberts. The disconnect between her public image and her private behavior is stark. She can be charming when the cameras are rolling for publicity, but when they stop, so does the charm.
I'm your huckleberry. Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.
14. Val Kilmer. The Iceman cometh with attitude. Val Kilmer's intensity and commitment to his craft made him one of the most compelling actors of his generation, but his difficult on-set behavior eventually overshadowed his considerable talent and effectively derailed his A-list career. Kilmer's problems with directors became legendary in Hollywood. On The Island of Dr. Moreau, his clashes with director John Frankenheimer were so severe that Frankenheimer later stated, "I will never work with Val Kilmer again. There isn't enough money in the world." Kilmer allegedly burned a crew member with a cigarette and refused to speak to the director for weeks. During Batman Forever, Kilmer's behavior was reportedly so problematic that director Joel Schumacher described him as childish and impossible. Their conflicts, along with Kilmer's difficult reputation, led to him being replaced by George Clooney in the sequel. On Tombstone, Kilmer allegedly refused to address crew members directly and made outlandish demands that delayed production. His insistence on staying in character as Doc Holliday even when cameras weren't rolling created an uncomfortable environment for everyone. Richard Stanley, the original director of The Island of Dr. Moreau before being fired, described how Kilmer would demand that the production helicopter fly him around when bored, costing thousands of dollars per hour and draining the film's budget on his whims. The pattern continued throughout his career, with directors consistently describing him as brilliant but impossible. His agent eventually dropped him, and major studios became reluctant to cast him despite his undeniable talent. No one could handle him, not even his agent, noted a former colleague. Val seemed determined to prove that he was the most important person on any set. Regardless of the cost to the production or his own career, he burned out his own career because he couldn't recognize that filmmaking is collaborative.
The key to the dead man's apartment was on my keychain. Someone put it there after I killed him, and there's only one person in the world who could have done that.
15. Gwyneth Paltrow, the high priestess of Hollywood hauteur. Gwyneth Paltrow's transformation from Oscar-winning actress to controversial lifestyle guru has been accompanied by a growing reputation for elitism and condescension that has made her one of Hollywood's most eye-roll-inducing personalities. Former staff members at her company Goop describe a toxic work environment where Paltrow's demands created constant stress and turnover. One ex-employee revealed that Paltrow would refuse to learn staff names, referring to team members as the website girl or the marketing person, even after years of employment. On film sets, Paltrow reportedly refused to speak to certain co-stars directly, instead relaying messages through assistants. During the filming of Iron Man, crew members noted that she would avoid the catering provided for the cast and crew, bringing her own specially prepared macrobiotic meals and eating separately. Her infamous quote about preferring to smoke crack than eat cheese from a can epitomizes the out-of-touch elitism that has defined her public persona. Similarly, her comment that she couldn't pretend to be somebody who makes $25,000 a year revealed a disconnection from the reality of most Americans' lives. At Hollywood events, Paltrow has developed a reputation for making staff feel beneath her. One server at an award ceremony described how Paltrow refused to acknowledge his presence when he approached her table, speaking only to her assistant about what she wanted. "She didn't just sell luxury, she was the attitude," commented a former colleague. Working with Gwyneth meant constantly being reminded that you existed in a different, lesser universe than she did. Her superiority wasn't just about status, it seemed to be about her genuine belief that she was simply better than other people.
They could take the money from you. They could take the position from you. I don't know, they can whip you. People turn their back on you. Everything happens to everybody.
16. Sean Penn. Intensity without boundaries. Sean Penn's talent has earned him 2 Academy Awards and widespread critical acclaim, but his volcanic temper and propensity for violence have earned him a reputation as one of Hollywood's most volatile personalities. Penn's history of aggression includes multiple physical assaults on photographers and journalists. In one infamous incident, he dangled a photographer over a 9th-floor hotel balcony for taking his picture. In another, he reportedly hit a photographer repeatedly, resulting in a year's probation and 300 hours of community service. His personal relationships have been marked by allegations of disturbing behavior. During his marriage to Madonna, he allegedly tied her to a chair and physically assaulted her for hours. An incident Madonna has since denied occurred, though it remains part of their troubled history in public memory. On film sets, Penn's intensity has crossed into problematic territory. Directors describe him as challenging and all-consuming in his approach. During the filming of The Thin Red Line, his demands for script changes and confrontational style created tension with director Terrence Malick. His political activism, while focused on important causes, has sometimes been accompanied by a self-righteousness that colleagues find difficult to bear. He has publicly attacked those who disagree with his views, creating an atmosphere where collaborators feel unable to express contrary opinions. His intensity didn't stop when the cameras cut, observed a director who worked with Penn. The same passion that makes him such a compelling performer makes him exhausting and sometimes frightening to work with. There's a line between commitment to craft and bullying behavior, and Sean frequently crosses it. 17. Katharine Hepburn, the Iron Lady of the silver screen. Katharine Hepburn's independent spirit and refusal to conform to traditional Hollywood expectations made her an icon of strength and autonomy. Behind the trailblazing image, however, was a woman whose cold demeanor and dismissive attitude toward those she considered beneath her created a very different impression among those who worked with her. Crew members from various productions described Hepburn as imperious and emotionally distant. She reportedly referred to lighting technicians, camera operators, and other crew as little people, or the help, rarely bothering to learn their names despite working with the same teams on multiple films. Her perfectionism often manifested as criticism rather than constructive feedback. On the set of The African Queen, she repeatedly complained about conditions and colleagues, creating tension with director John Huston. Her co-star, Humphrey Bogart, once remarked that Hepburn's main problem was that she thinks she's Katharine Hepburn. While demanding excellence from others, Hepburn created a standard that few could meet. She would criticize costume designers' work in front of the entire crew, reducing young assistants to tears with her cutting remarks about their incompetence. Her insistence on controlling aspects of production beyond her role as an actress created conflict with directors and producers. She would demand script changes, lighting adjustments, and even camera placements, despite lacking technical expertise in these areas. She demanded respect and gave none back, noted a film historian who interviewed several of Hepburn's colleagues. Her treatment of crew members revealed a belief that artistic talent entitled her to treat support staff as invisible servants rather than skilled professionals contributing to the same creative endeavor.
I do think that Joan Crawford became, in everybody's minds, the result of a kind of scandal, and she became a monster.
18. Faye Dunaway, the real mommy dearest. Faye Dunaway's portrayal of abusive Hollywood star Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest has become iconic, but those who worked with Dunaway suggest the performance wasn't entirely acting. Her reputation for tyrannical behavior rivals that of the very diva she portrayed. Director Roman Polanski described working with Dunaway on Chinatown as a real pain in the ass, citing her constant complaints and demands. During one famous incident, she allegedly threw a cup of urine at a crew member when she wasn't given a bathroom break quickly enough, a story Dunaway has denied, but which has become part of Hollywood lore. On the set of Mommy Dearest itself, Dunaway's behavior was reportedly so difficult that director Frank Perry considered quitting. She demanded that crew members not look her in the eye, insisted on being addressed as Miss Dunaway rather than her first name, and would refuse to come out of her trailer for hours, delaying production. Makeup artists have described Dunaway slapping their hands away if she was displeased with their work. One recalled being screamed at for 40 minutes because Dunaway felt her eyebrows weren't symmetrical enough. During theater productions, her behavior allegedly drove co-stars to tears and stage managers to quit. While performing in Tea at 5, Dunaway's abusive treatment of crew members and physical assault of a crew member led to her being fired from the production before it reached Broadway. She made people cry every day on set, revealed a crew member who worked with her. The irony of her playing Joan Crawford wasn't lost on anyone who had to deal with her tantrums, physical aggression, and impossible demands. It wasn't a stretch. It was practically a documentary of her own behavior.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think that made my bones stronger.
Did it?
You know?
Yeah.
It made me feel better about who I was and how my parents raised me and everything, you know.
19. Bill Murray, comedy's beloved problem. Bill Murray's deadpan humor and seemingly carefree approach to celebrity have made him one of Hollywood's most beloved figures. Behind this carefully cultivated public image, however, lies a pattern of behavior so problematic that it has led to production shutdowns, lawsuits, and multiple allegations of misconduct. Murray's issues with co-stars have been documented throughout his career. On Charlie's Angels, he reportedly got into a physical alteration with Lucy Liu after criticizing her acting abilities, telling her she couldn't act. Liu stood up for herself, but the incident created lasting tension on set. His feuds with directors are legendary. His conflict with Harold Ramis during Groundhog Day was so severe that they stopped speaking for over 20 years. Murray reportedly threw tantrums, arrived late, and ignored Ramis's direction, creating a hostile work environment. More recently, the production of Being Mortal was shut down after Murray was accused of inappropriate behavior toward a female staff member. While details weren't publicly released, the incident was serious enough that production was halted indefinitely, costing the studio millions. Former Saturday Night Live cast member Rob Schneider described Murray as someone who absolutely hated certain cast members and would make his disdain clear. According to Schneider, Murray was particularly cruel to Chevy Chase and Gilda Radner. What makes Murray's case particularly interesting is how his public persona has effectively shielded him from the consequences of his behavior. His quirky reputation and refusal to follow Hollywood conventions, like having an agent or manager, have been framed as charming eccentricities rather than signs of problematic behavior. Behind the charm, chaos, noted a producer who worked with Murray. Bill has crafted an image as the carefree rebel that audiences adore, but that same unpredictability and disregard for norms makes him incredibly difficult for collaborators who need reliability and professionalism to complete their work.
We do have a special tomorrow night. That would be May 5th. What's the Frost Nixon thing, something or what? Gosh.
20. Chevy Chase, Hollywood's most consistent jerk. We began our list with Chevy Chase, but his reputation for awful behavior is so legendary that he deserves both the opening and closing spots. While many celebrities have had difficult phases or isolated incidents, Chase has maintained a consistent record of being unbearable for over 5 decades, a marathon of meanness unmatched in Hollywood history. Beyond his SNL behavior and community conflicts already mentioned, Chase's problematic conduct extends throughout his entire career. On the set of Caddyshack, he reportedly bullied and demeaned his co-stars, particularly focusing on Rodney Dangerfield, whom he considered beneath him comedically. His talk show on Fox in the early 1990s lasted only 5 weeks, partially because guests were warned about his aggressive interviewing style, and many refused to appear. Staff members from the show described a toxic environment where Chase would belittle writers and crew members daily. At comedy roasts and industry events, Chase has often appeared visibly resentful of younger comedians' success. His speech at a Comedy Central roast of Friars Club became uncomfortably mean-spirited rather than funny, reflecting his apparent bitterness at no longer being at the center of the comedy world. Former SNL cast member Terry Sweeney recounted how Chase suggested he keep a weekly weigh-in to see if he had contracted AIDS, a joke so offensive that producer Lorne Michaels forced Chase to apologize. Even those who admire Chase's talent find his personality intolerable. His Vacation co-star Beverly D'Angelo, while acknowledging his comedic gifts, has described working with him as extremely challenging due to his mood swings and treatment of support staff. "Burned every bridge and blamed the matches on someone else," concluded a longtime industry insider. What makes Chase's case so remarkable isn't just how consistently awful his behavior has been, but his apparent inability to recognize his role in his own isolation. He seems genuinely confused about why an industry that once embraced him now keeps him at arm's length. The price of talent, Hollywood's toxic bargain. These 20 cases reveal a disturbing pattern in the entertainment industry, a willingness to tolerate and even enable abhorrent behavior as long as it comes packaged with marketable talent. This toxic bargain has created environments where abuse is normal